Pittsburgh Steelers on the road at the Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be the ultimate. Do you believe in the new testing out policy or do you not? The Chiefs are down to 7.5 point favorites in this one over the Steelers, coming off of a 10.5 point favorite opener here because their whole team, and when I say their whole team, that's in jest, but Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce currently occupying the COVID list right now. And so what we've got with that, this total has fallen down to 44 as well. Brad, this is the ultimate do you believe that people can test off list. I mean, if I thought so, could you imagine me getting the Chiefs at 1.5 in a teaser leg against the Steelers team if I thought that they were going to be able to get Kelce and Hill back here? Let's look at it from they're not going to get them back standpoint. So now let's go in as the only thing we know is right now they're on the COVID list. If they do not have Kelce and Hill, is 7.5 too much, or is it just appropriate? Or what do you feel about the number as it sits right now if we assume that those two playmakers are not going to be in there?
So I would say if I had to bet on whether they will be back, I would favour yes, just because of how early they tested and these new protocols. But if they are not, then I think 7.5 is too much because what's left after Kelce and Hill? It's Hardman, it's what's his name, Robinson, Demarcus Robinson. It is a bunch of part-time players, really. Yeah, Byron Pringle. Like there's no one there that scares you, especially a good Pittsburgh defense. We saw last week, once Joe Hayden's back, he kind of firms up the secondary and, they've still got that pass rush up front. So it would be the plus 7.5 for me, or it would be the under. If it stays at 44.5 with them out, actually, I like the under regardless, basically, whether they're in or out. And if they're in there, it goes back up to 47 or so. I like the under because I do think the Pittsburgh defense is good. And I do still, we saw in week 1, actually, the Steelers, they laid out the blueprint to play the Bills where they rushed 4 and they dropped 7 the entire time. And I think they'll probably bring out a similar game plan here against the Chiefs and Mahomes. And I don't think they've fixed those problems that they had. They played teams that couldn't play cover 2 against them. So I suspect the Steelers just drag this game into the mud and, a bit like they did against the Titans and try and pip a 1-point win or something.
Steven, the Steelers offense, though, absolutely putrid. 12 carries for 18 yards last week for Najee Harris. This is like the 4th year in a row that they cannot get any sort of run game going at all. I mean, it's just absolutely pathetic.
But I thought drafting a running back in the first round would fix their run game.
Yeah, I know, right? It's shocking that didn't happen. I know that you're probably looking at this the same way I am, right? Like you want to pull the trigger on a teaser leg for the Chiefs so bad, but you just can't quite get yourself to get there and do it. What are you going to end up doing eventually with this game?
Yeah, it's the COVID situation for sure. And I would just caution you if you want to bet this going into the weekend on Thursday or Friday with supreme confidence that these guys are going to clear with the new testing protocols. I think it's definitely a chance. We've seen that already. There's been a handful of players from last week with the games getting pushed back and more time that did clear. Odell Beckham, Von Miller, et cetera, et cetera. But there's also a handful of players that were describing little to no symptoms that didn't clear. So I'm not sure we have a clear picture at this point as to whether that new bar that they've set for clearing despite testing positive is actually a low bar or a high bar or a medium bar. I'm not sure we have a clear picture on that yet.
All the bars.
Yes.
High bars, medium bars, low bars, left bars, right bars, crooked bars. All the bars.
Which I can't clear any bar because I have a 3-inch vertical. So, but with these Chiefs, man, I mean, here's what I would say. Teasing them down to -1.5, even if they don't have Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and this COVID news doesn't go my way, I still think they beat the Steelers by 2 or more, even without those guys. I mean, the Steelers are a train wreck, and even the Steelers' offensive line can't block anybody. They're bottom 5 in block win rates, and the Chiefs are much improved on defense if they have at least the majority of their players in there on defense. So I think it's kind of a low risk teaser leg, even with the COVID situations. And I don't know, maybe if you want to just take the second leg equation out of it, maybe it's a money line situation where, you're just taking the Chiefs straight up for, instead of your normal 1 unit, you're taking 2 units on the Chiefs to just win the game on the money line. So I'm exploring all of those options. I haven't decided what I want to do yet, but I say all that to say, even if the COVID news doesn't go their way, I still like the Chiefs to win the game because that's how low I think of the Steelers at this point.